Everyone thinks Android 17 and 18 were Dr. Gero's masterpieces. They weren't. They were his failures. Gero hated them because they had free will. The only creation he truly loved was the one nobody talks about, Android 19. Why? Because 19 wasn't a cyborg. He was a doll. He had no soul. He had no mercy. He only had hunger. Today we explore why the clown android was actually the most terrifying thing Gero ever built. To understand the nightmare of Android 19, we have to look at the psychology of the man who built him. Dr. Gero was a genius, but he was also a narcissist with a god complex. When he created Android 17 and Android 18, he made a fatal calculation error. He gave them infinite energy and he gave them the biological capacity for independent thought. He created gods that he could not control. They looked at him with disdain, they mocked him, they threatened him. To a man like Gero, who demanded absolute submission, this was intolerable. He realized that the human element was the flaw. The human brain was messy and emotional and prone to rebellion. So for his 19th attempt, he stripped away the humanity entirely. He built a doll. If you look closely at the design of 19, he is soft. He is round. He looks like a porcelain doll or a mime. This design choice is not accidental. It is psychological camouflage. When the Z fighters first see him, they are confused. They don't sense any danger because he looks ridiculous. But that softness hides a complete lack of empathy. 19 is the concept of the uncanny valley weaponized. He mimics the shape of a man, but he has none of the internal workings of a soul. He is a machine that has been painted to look like a person, and that mimicry is what makes his violence so disturbing. There is a piece of lore that is often overlooked, but it is the single most important detail regarding Android 19. Dr. Gero did not turn himself into an android. He needed someone else to do it. He needed a pair of hands steady enough and obedient enough to remove his living brain and place it into a mechanical skull. Android 19 performed that surgery. Imagine the scene in that dark laboratory. The doctor lying on the operating table, trusting his life to his creation. 19 standing over him with a scalpel and that frozen painted smile. He cut open his creator's skull. He handled the gray matter of the man he worshipped. Any other android might have hesitated or taken the opportunity to kill the madman. 17 would have crushed the brain. 18 would have thrown it away. But 19 performed the task with absolute mechanical perfection. This proves that 19 is the only being Gero trusted. He is the only being who shared Gero's vision of a world without Goku. He is the loyal son who facilitates the father's immortality. This loyalty manifests in a lack of ego. Every other villain in Dragon Ball suffers from pride. Frieza plays with his food because he needs to feel superior. Cell hosts a tournament because he needs validation. Even Kid Buu taunts his enemies. Android 19 does not taunt, he does not brag. When he fights, he is simply executing a program. There is a banality to his evil that is chilling. He is like a drone strike. He doesn't hate you. He doesn't love you, he just deletes you. When he attacks the city, he doesn't do it for fun like the future androids. He does it to draw out the targets. It is a calculation. He fires I-beams into traffic and watches the explosions with the same indifference as a calculator processing a math problem. This makes him harder to predict and harder to manipulate. You cannot goad him into making a mistake. You cannot make him angry. He is a wall of white indifference that is slowly walking toward you to stop your heart. The combat mechanics of Android 19 introduce a genre of body horror that Dragon Ball had never seen before. Until this point, fighting was about blunt force trauma and energy beams. It was about who could hit harder. Android 19 changed the rules. He introduced the energy drain. This technique changes the fight from a martial arts duel into a feeding frenzy. When 19 grabs you, he is not grappling you. He is eating you. The design of the energy absorption nodes on his palms is reminiscent of the mouths of leeches or lampreys. He locks onto his victim and creates a closed circuit. He violates the sanctity of the body's energy. In the series, key is life force. It is the spirit and the physical stamina combined. When 19 drains Goku, he is drinking his life. Look at the encounter with Yamcha. It is the first time we see the androids in action, and it is terrifyingly efficient. Yamcha doesn't even get to throw a punch. 19 does not engage in a flurry of blows. He simply thrusts his hand forward like a spear. He impales Yamcha through the chest. It is visceral, it is sudden, And then he leaves the hand there. He doesn't pull it out immediately. He holds Yamcha in place like a butterfly pinned to a board. He watches the life drain out of the human's eyes while his internal meters fill up. He is feeding on the trauma. The smile never wavers. It is the smile of a predator that has found a convenient source of calories. This moment signaled the end of the Z era where fights were honorable contests. This was industrial slaughter. Then we have the fight with Goku. We have seen Goku in pain before. We have seen him broken by Vegeta and tortured by Frieza. But the expression he wears while 19 is on top of him is different. It is panic. It is the primal fear of a prey animal that is being drained dry. Goku is screaming not just because of the heart virus, but because he can feel his essence being siphoned out through his skin. 19 is straddling him. He has him pinned to the ground. The visual is uncomfortable and intimate in the worst possible way. It is a violation. 19 is heavy. His weight is crushing Goku's chest while the virus attacks his heart from the inside and the android drains his energy from the outside. It is a perfect storm of helplessness. For the first time in a long time, Goku is not the warrior. He is the battery. He is a resource to be harvested. And while Goku screams and writhes in agony, Android 19 just smiles. He watches the light fade from the Saiyan's eyes and his expression never changes. He is enjoying the influx of data. He is enjoying the surge of power. But he feels no guilt and no sadistic pleasure. He just feels full. The tragedy of this moment is amplified by the context of the training. Goku spent 3 years preparing for this day. He pushed his body to the limit. He learned to control the Super Saiyan state. And yet he is brought down by a clown who didn't train a single day in his life. 19 represents the unfairness of technology. He didn't earn his power. He was built with it. He renders Goku's hard work meaningless because he possesses a hard counter to the very concept of ki. The more energy Goku uses, the stronger 19 becomes. It is a parasite dynamic. If Goku fights harder, he feeds the parasite more. It is a trap that punishes effort. This is why 19 is so dangerous to the Z fighters. They are martial artists who rely on outputting power. 19 is a machine that relies on inputting power. He turns their greatest strength into their greatest weakness. Then comes Vegeta. The arrival of the prince changes the dynamic, but it also serves to highlight the physiological horror of Android 19. Vegeta rips the arms off the android. In any other show or with any other character, this would be a moment of victory. It would be the end of the fight. But 19 does not scream. When Vegeta tears the mechanical limbs from their sockets, there is no blood. There is only oil and wires and sparks. 19 looks at his stumps. He doesn't look at them with horror. He looks at them with a mild curiosity. He realizes his primary feeding mechanism is gone and he calculates the new probability of victory. That is it, there is no trauma. A human or even a biological cyborg like 17 would go into shock. They would panic. 19 simply reevaluates. This lack of pain creates a disconnect that unnerves the viewer. We are programmed to expect a reaction to injury. When Frieza gets cut, he screams. When Cell gets blown up, he roars. When 19 loses his hands, he just stares at Vegeta. It reinforces the idea that there is nobody home. There is no ghost in the shell. Vegeta is fighting a toaster. He is fighting a glorified blender. The fact that this object was able to bring Goku to his knees is an insult to Saiyan pride. Vegeta realizes this. He realizes that he isn't fighting a warrior. He is fighting a piece of trash. This is why Vegeta is so brutal in his finish. He isn't just killing an enemy, he is disposing of garbage. But even in his final moments, 19 maintains his horror. He is afraid not of death, but of non-existence. When Vegeta prepares the Big Bang attack, we see the first flicker of something resembling fear in the android's eyes. But it isn't the fear of dying, it is the fear of failing the mission. It is the fear of obsolescence. He starts to run. The image of the fat clown android waddling away as fast as his legs can carry him is both pathetic and disturbing. He is a machine that has realized it is broken. He is trying to preserve his data. He is trying to return to the creator. When the blast hits him and his head is severed, we get one last look at his face. As his head rolls across the wasteland, the eyes are still active. The brain is still processing. He is still technically alive even as a severed head. The smile is finally gone, replaced by a vacant stare of error codes. We must also consider the what-if scenario where 19 succeeds. If Vegeta hadn't shown up, Goku would have died. 19 would have finished draining him and left a husk. Then he would have turned on Piccolo and Gohan. Without the knowledge of the energy absorption, the other fighters would have fed him just like Goku did. 19 would have become unstoppable. He would have marched across the Earth, silently draining city after city. He wouldn't have blown up the planet. He would have just turned off the lights. A world ruled by Android 19 is a silent world. It is a world where humanity is reduced to batteries. Gero and 19 would have sat in their lab ruling over a graveyard of husks. Dr. Gero's preference for 19 over 17 and 18 tells us everything we need to know about his own psychology. Gero was a control freak. He wanted to rule the world, and you cannot rule the world if your soldiers have opinions. 17 and 18 were objectively better weapons. They had infinite stamina, they were stronger, they were faster. But they had the ability to say no. To a narcissist like Gero, the ability to say no is a design flaw. 19 was weaker. He relied on absorption. He had finite energy reserves, but he always said yes. Gero was willing to sacrifice power for control. He was willing to build an inferior product just so he could be worshipped. 19 was the mirror that reflected Gero's god complex back at him. There is a subtle element of body horror in the way 19 moves. He doesn't move like a fighter. He moves like a heavy object being pulled by strings. His punches are stiff. His kicks are awkward. This creates a dissonance because despite the awkwardness, the impacts are devastating. He hits with the force of a hydraulic press. When he punches Goku in the face, blood flies. It is the contrast between the soft, doughy exterior and the hardened steel interior. Getting hit by 19 is like getting hit by a cannonball wrapped in a pillow. It doesn't look like it should hurt, but it shatters bone. This robotic movement style emphasizes that he is not using technique. He is using physics. He is using mass and velocity and torque. He is an industrial accident in the shape of a man. The voice of Android 19 adds another layer to the terror. In the original Japanese and the dub, his voice is high-pitched. It is almost childlike. It is the voice of a castrato. This juxtapositions with his violence. Hearing that soft, polite voice say target acquired or energy level decreasing while he is snapping necks is deeply unsettling. It sounds like a customer service automated message. It strips the violence of any passion. When Frieza kills Krillin, he screams, "Pop goes the weasel." There is emotion there. When 19 hurts you, he might as well be reading a weather report. It makes the victim feel insignificant. You aren't being murdered by a monster. You are being processed by an algorithm. Most villains in Dragon Ball represent a dark reflection of the hero. Frieza is the prodigy to Goku's hard work. Cell is the potential of everyone combined. Boo is the pure ID. Android 19 represents the absence of spirit. In a show that is entirely defined by spirit energy and fighting, Spirit 19 is the antithesis. He has no key. He cannot be sensed. He is a hole in the force. Fighting him is like fighting a shadow. You can't read his movements. You can't sense his intention. He is a void. This is why the Z fighters were so anxious. They rely on sensing emotions and power levels. 19 denied them their primary sense. He forced them to fight blind. The relationship between Gero and 19 is the only functional father-son dynamic among the villains. King Cold and Frieza were business partners. Paragus and Broly were abuser and victim. Gero and 19 were master and slave, but it was a symbiotic slavery. 19 needed Gero for maintenance, and Gero needed 19 for protection. When Gero is running from Vegeta, he yells at 19 to attack. He doesn't ask, he commands. And 19 throws himself into the meat grinder without hesitation. He dies for his father. It is a twisted version of loyalty. It is programmed loyalty, but the result is the same. 19 gave his existence to buy Gero 5 more minutes of life. Ultimately, Android 19 serves as the gatekeeper to the Android saga. He is the test. He is the proof that the rules have changed. He proved that being a Super Saiyan wasn't enough anymore. He proved that heart and soul could be beaten by math and steel. When Vegeta killed him, he didn't just blow up a robot. He reasserted the dominance of the spirit over the machine. He proved that the Saiyan soul was stronger than Gero's programming. But for a few terrifying episodes, 19 made us believe that the machines had won. He made us believe that the era of the martial artist was over and the era of the automaton had begun. He was a doll who wanted to be a god, but he lacked the divine spark. He had the power, but he didn't have the fire, and in the Dragon Ball universe, if you don't have the fire, you are just fuel for someone who does. 19 died as he lived. A tool, a weapon, a thing. When the smoke cleared, there was no body to bury, just scrap metal scattered across the rocks, and nobody mourned him, not even his creator. Gero just ran back to his lab to wake up the real monsters. 19 was disposable, and that is the saddest and scariest thing of all. He was built to die so that the perfect beings could live. He was the prologue to the apocalypse written in oil and binary code.